Hi everyone, it's me. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I've been living here in England for over 5 years. Now, I try to say that in most of my videos, so if you have found my YouTube videos, you kind of have some little idea of who I am. But what does it really mean to be Canadian? I have so many of these in my house and I never know what to do with them. Now on the flip side, because I've been living in the UK for so long, I have a lot of viewers who say that I shouldn't call myself a foreigner anymore and that I am an honorary Brit, that I've been here for so long and I have adapted to the British way of life. So really I am British, but am I really? So I thought it would be fun to share with you guys my 23andMe ancestry results. This is not sponsored. It'd be really cool if it was, but it is not. So we can look at my actual heritage and see A, what does it mean to be Canadian? And B, am I actually British? So without further ado, let's go. Now I recently got an email actually from 23andMe saying that they found a trace heritage section, whatever, from my DNA. Now this is only a 0.2%, so obviously it is very small, hence the word trace. But guess what country it's from? Did you guess Cyprus? Yes, I have a tiny trace ancestry from some part of the family tree from Cyprus, which I thought was pretty cool. I've never been there. Maybe when this whole COVID thing kind of gets handled, maybe we should go to Cyprus. Now, of course, the Cyprus stuff is just trace ancestry. It is very, very small. But my next section in my DNA history, if you will, comes in at 32.8%. Any guesses? 32.8% is a pretty decent chunk. Did you guess Dutch? Because you would be right. So once we move away from trace ancestry, my next largest ancestry section is from the Netherlands. So this is a pretty decent chunk. It's categorized as French or German, but it is from the Netherlands. So there are some regions in the Netherlands that I have ancestry from. I really don't want to try and read them, but I'm going to anyways. So we have Friesland, Gelderland, North Holland, South Holland, Drenthe, oh my, and Utrecht. Oh, I'm so sorry. But that's a pretty big chunk at 32.8% is Dutch. Now, this is actually not surprising to me because what I know from my family tree is that I do have relatives from Holland that were, born and raised in Holland for many years and eventually moved to Canada and then started that sort of family tree in Canada. So the Dutch stuff, not that surprising, but I had no idea in terms of regions or areas of the Netherlands. So that's pretty cool. Now, the next section and the largest section of my DNA ancestry profile thing comes in at 65.6%. Can I get a drum roll? Alanna, who is editing this video, can I get a drum roll? This is it? That's... Huh? What? I think what I will say is this is terrible. How do you get them out of the box? Whoops. And I don't think I want to use that because that's disgusting. Oh, that was traumatic. British. Yes, the largest chunk of my ancestry is British. It's labeled as British and Irish, but I don't have any Irish portions anyway, it doesn't matter. But just like the Netherlands one, I found it really interesting that we get regions. So 23andMe says that the UK has 165 administrative regions, and they found the strongest evidence of my ancestry in the following 10 regions. So the question here is, Am I more southern or am I more northern? That's the question. Number 1, Greater London. That's right, Greater London is number 1. Are you shocked? I thought this was really cool because as a Canadian, born and raised in Ontario, Canada, I then come over to England and I currently live in Kent, which is in the southeast, just outside of London. And then I do this test and it says that my ancestry can be found in Greater London. So I just thought it was really cool. I don't know, it's like a connection that you didn't realize was there. But let's continue on. Number 2, Tyne and Wear. Honestly, I don't know where that is, but something in my gut tells me that's quite north. So Tyne and Wear. Number 3, Glasgow City. Any Scots watching? Hello. Guess what? Number 4, Merseyside. Also don't know where that is, but I'm pretty sure is that northeast? God, I have to look at a map. Number 5, Edinburgh. More Scots. Guess what? Number 6, Aberdeen City, followed by number 7, Aberdeenshire. Aberdeenshire. Anyway, number 8, West Midlands. Hello. Number 9, Greater Manchester. And number 10, South Yorkshire. So there's actually quite a lot of northern places there, quite a lot of Scottish places. And to be honest, that's actually not surprising. Growing up in Ontario, Canada, I actually knew my great-grandmother, one of them. She was actually alive and I had a relationship with her when I was a kid, which is crazy just to think about just in itself. So my great-grandmother was from, any guesses? Aberdeen. So I actually knew my Scottish great-grandmother, and I remember she always wore like a brooch that was a thistle with her own tartan, like her family tartan. And I always thought that was really, really cool. So doing my 23andMe test and getting a lot of Aberdeen, Scotland sort of places is not surprising because I knew of her. So of course it's picking up on her and her family. But there are quite a lot more sort of northern places, which I didn't expect. So I guess it's kind of a mix because we got Greater London as one, but then all the other ones are north. Now I know just from family stories that I had, I want to say great-grandparents potentially that were from Surrey. So maybe that's why I'm getting a Greater London sort of reading is from that part of the family. It's pretty cool. Now, if you're doing the math, we are off slightly. I do have a reading of 1.4% that is just broadly Northwestern European. So they say, due to migration or whatever, they can't pinpoint where that percentage comes from, but they give it the broadly Northwestern European title. So that's what it means to be Canadian. I am at 99.8% European and 0.2% from Cyprus. If we break down the European, that's 65.6% British, 32.8% Dutch, and 1.4% something else. We're not quite sure. So while I am always going to be Canadian, I do have a huge chunk of my heritage that is British, and I don't think that's too uncommon for a lot of Canadians who had relatives in the UK that eventually came over to Canada. But it is pretty cool, and we also got a little sprinkling of Dutch in there as well, and that random Cyprus just kind of thrown in. But I hope you guys like this video. If you like my content, it'd be really cool to subscribe. I really appreciate it. And I think this test kind of gives me a little more context in terms of my life here. It's kind of like a weird, connection. Does that make sense? So more recently, I actually did a video of taste testing British tea. I've never been a tea drinker and only recently have started getting into tea. And then I kind of think about, I wonder if my great-grandparents drank tea here in England and in Scotland, and they probably did. I mean, lots of people drink tea. That's not really a connection. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess it's just it's really exciting to live in the area that I have heritage in. I haven't been to Aberdeen yet, but I have done some touring around Scotland. And just to know that you have family from that area, I don't know, I think it's pretty neat. I guess what this ancestry results sort of made me think about was how I have never met most of my ancestors, obviously. But it's a neat feeling to know that I am living where they came from, you know? Minus the Dutch. I'm so sorry. I probably will never live in the Netherlands, but it's a really cool country. So I'm not ignoring that side of the family. But I think it is really neat to be able to live in the UK and potentially see the same stuff that they did or drink the same tea that they did, you know, and have a lifestyle that is somewhat reminiscent of ancestors that I have never met. That's what I'm trying to say, I think. That sort of idea. Does that make sense? Anyway, I'm just rambling. I just think it's really neat. Anyway, I guess that's it for me. I am 99.8% European and mostly British. Good to know. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye! Maybe I should go have a cup of tea.